social aspects were most important for people, and then the democratic, on third, the ecological one. So you can see how much the social issue is important for the discussion, and it was quite for us important to emphasize more on this topic, and also to know that our model of democratic control had some support.
Thank you. So, a volunteer.
Martin Mikeska, Hnutí Duha, Czech Republic. If you speak about the social aspect of your campaign, do you mean energy prices or kind of social comfort of energy users, or?
Well, we mean energy prices. I don't like to talk about energy prices. I like to more talk about energy bills, because this is what you have to pay. You can have a high energy price, for example, if you have renewable energy confronted to, well, the cheapest energy price that you can find is mostly dirty grey energy, but however also with this high energy price you can have a lower bill, because you look more on the efficiency, you look more on your consumption of energy and all that stuff. And for example, with the good counseling, is a really serious counseling of people not to consume energy, and energy not only electricity but also heat, which is really the most important part of our energy bill. Yes, we can lower it, not only what the price, but by a numbers of measurements that we think, yeah, is more reliable by a municipal utility that had other interests, or should have other interests in mind. Also the replacement of household machines, something like that. But this is also important, because criticism was also on that aspect, that we're saying, oh, we want to make a lot of presents to the people that we can't afford, that costs too much money. Everything that we have written down in our draft law are examples from other cities in Germany. From every point I can say, okay, this is an example from that city and worked there very well. This is an example from that city and worked very, apart from the democratic control. But this is not something that we were thinking of at an evening after 10 pints of beers and saying, okay, now we want to have much more social and just having crazy ideas. No, this is all measurements that works already in other cities.
I have a question also, or maybe a short comment for the social aspect. I don't know how is it in Germany, and that would be the question, but in Czech, many people, they pay the higher bills they could in theory, or also for the gas, but for the energy they are able to pay, or it's possible to pay energy which is green for one company that provides it, but many people don't do it, and I think that the problem goes in the contract with your landlord often in the cities, in the big cities where students live and people temporarily and stuff, and I think in Berlin it's very similar. So the question is like, how the institution in this way can help, or maybe if in Germany it's better made for the people who rent the places.
Well, actually, first of all, like, I think everybody in the EU can buy the energy wherever it wants from any company, but somehow in Germany, especially in Germany, there's the so-called Grundversorger, the major energy supplier in every city. So if you move from one city to the other city, you will be, by law, in first instance, at this local super energy supplier. By law, this is decided which supplier it is. So every 3 years, it is looked after who has the most households, supplies the most households, and this is the so-called Grundversorger, the major energy supplier. And in Berlin, for example, 78% of the households are at this major energy supplier, that is called Vattenfall. And this tariff of this major energy supplier is especially in Berlin, higher than renewable ones. Of course, also Vattenfall has cheaper tariffs, but if you move to one city and do nothing, you will be automatically in this tariff. And then you pay much more money for a company that invests in nuclear and fossil fuel production than if you would choose a renewable energy supplier. And this affects 78% of the households. And this was also the part that we're thinking of with our energy utility. If we produce and sell renewable energy, we can sell them to a better price than Vattenfall actually does. And this is also a way how to tell people how they can save energy, not energy, how to save money. And this is a famous known problem. It's not only a Berlin problem. It's an overall German problem that nearly 75% of the people are at this local major energy supplier, and the tariff that they pay for this is quite really higher than other. But people are really lazy. They don't change their energy supplier and pay too much money for that. And this is how we can also address in a campaign this circumstance. For example, in our campaign, of course, people were asking us all the time, is the energy from our utility cheaper? I can say that, I can promise that. How can I promise that? But I can say, okay, if you do some reasoning and ask the people and they're telling me that we're in this major energy supplier tariff, I would say, okay, you pay too much money. And they were really amazed that it is that fact or something like that. So there's potential also to introduce renewable energy and be cheaper, especially in Germany. I don't know if it's the same way here in the Czech Republic with this so-called Grundversorger.
Right, any other questions?
Well, if talking about the referendum, about the process, and you said that the government made some measures against you, were there some private companies that obviously didn't like the referendum? Did they make some measures or some advertisement against your referendum?
Well, apart from Vattenfall, no. This was quite, at the end of the last 3 weeks, there was a coalition of companies formed together, more or less as a counter-campaign, but apart from a press conference and a leaflet only presented there, no, there was nothing. It was completely different in Hamburg, as I told you, that it was the twin campaign, closely related to ours, not with the energy utility, but also on the grid municipalization. And since they had for sure the date of the election, it was more important for the counter side to have more votes on their side than on the other side. And of course, they reacted completely different in Hamburg. While here, it was quite clear that the crucial thing is to have the enough votes. And so they decided, okay, we don't make any counter-campaign, so any counter-campaign is somehow a campaign, draws interest on that referendum date, and if we do nothing, too many people will go there. As we heard that the referendum will be shifted off from the election day to the 3rd of November, we were just quite aware of not winning, because it is quite nearly impossible to motivate 620,000 people going to the election, to the referendum. However, in the last weeks, we know we could get closer. I think this was the reason why they tried to do a counter-campaign, but it was too late to make really something that was visible. So, no. But I think this was the special case of Berlin.
Okay, thank you for your interesting questions. Are there any other? not be afraid. You see, it's quite easy. If there are, yes.
Since I'm in front here, you have mentioned it now. What maybe you have some recommendation of what did you learn from the last minute of the campaign? That now you mentioned that actually in the last week you realized that it's possible to win it or to get these people. I really can imagine that 620,000. It's a lot of people, but still, maybe you forgot about some tactic, or now you know about some tactic that you could use next time or in other referendum?
Well, we made a big analysis of the whole campaign. I think it's 50 pages of really trying to evaluate every method that we used. And it was so close that we couldn't find a really single measure that we said, this is what we missed, or this were completely wrong. It's 20,000, you were just in the frame of people that were willing to vote for you, and maybe, well, there are other circumstances that people were refrained to going to the election. I don't know. As far as we analyzed, there was nothing major that we missed. Small things like, would you say, if Vattenfall would have carried on, or maybe, you know, well, you can say, well, we tried to carry out a positive campaign, more or less, with positive messages. Of course, we had this Vattenfall bashing somehow, but it was really soft bashing. Yeah, Vattenfall is used to much more other bashing, so it was really kind from us, this bashing. People were thinking of this wasn't hard enough. Other people said this was too much. So it's not always easy to decide. Also the campaign, yeah, how to carry campaign out. As you can see, all the posters in the street. Berlin is a really big city with 3.5 million inhabitants. Also the question, will you try to